Hello there, I'm Tabletop Toby. Today we're going to be doing a playthrough of Race to the Raft, Frank West's latest creation. We're going to get these cats off this burning island, get them to the raft and to safety, so we'll see if we can do that together. We're going to be doing a playthrough of the tutorial, and as we do that we're going to talk about the rules so you can see how that works, and let's see if we can save these cats. So this is the first tutorial scenario. All of the setups are taken from the campaign book, which is very clearly laid out and easy to use, which is great. It makes setup pretty much a breeze. So we're doing first steps, the very first tutorial scenario. There are 4 tutorial scenarios that help you learn the rules, and then practice scenarios, and then it moves into the campaign 1 through 5 that get increasingly difficult, depicted by the number of paws. 5 paws is the most difficult, 1 paw for campaign 1, 0 paws for the tutorial, which are supposed to be a breeze, although as you're learning how the strategies work in this game, I would say it's not a breeze, but things really start clicking after you play multiple games. So on this setup, it's so clear and you need the manual kind of there with the components to do it, so I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it, but in short, you'll see there are 4 larger square sections at the top and then 2 rectangular sections at the bottom. So the game comes with 4 large island boards, or the squares, and then 2 small island boards, which are the smaller rectangles. And all of these are double-sided, one side being all colored squares and the other side having a strip of fire. So you look at the map for the scenario you're doing, and in this case this square has this gray strip of fire, so you know use the fire side, and then the other side does not. And so these other little squares are cards that go on top. So the starting aspect though is just the island boards, and then the fire overlay tiles are those tiles right there, and then you'll see this 3, 5, and 7. These are the starting cat cards. So for these are numbered and they're all double-sided, and you just put whatever number card in that position, and then it shows you which cat starts there. In this case, this is red, which we don't have on the board, but you do red, purple, yellow, and whatever goes there according to that card. And then the last setup is the raft that you're trying to get to. These are lettered, and just like the cat starting tiles, these are double-sided. The A raft, which is the starting raft, has no designation of where any specific cat needs to be. The rule there is if you're adjacent to it, you automatically move onto the raft, versus some of the other raft cards, the cats have to go to actually the designated color position for that cat. The next thing are these 4 stack of pathway cards. Now these are kind of the main aspect of the game. You're taking these, have them in your hand, on your turn you can place the card. It can be in any position as long as it doesn't go over fire or hang off the side of the board or go over the raft, and you can put it basically anywhere you want, and it visually just kind of blends in, which is really cool. I think the design on this is really neat. So you can go there, but you don't have to line up exactly. You can do that. For this green guy, we maybe want to go there to start building the green path so the green cat can get off the island. And that's how those work. So there's 4 different stacks, as you see, and what's cool about these is they show you the chance of getting a specific color. So this one, there's a 30% chance of red, 30% chance of blue, 15 of yellow, and 15 of green. This one, 30% green, 30% yellow, and then smaller chances of those. So if we turn these over, you can see this one, we just got a lot of red and some green. So That was the red 30% chance, no blue, but we did get the green. So it's just the chance you might get that color. You're not guaranteed. So that plays a role, those statistics, and which cards you want to pick up when you're making your decisions. So each player at the beginning of the game chooses 3 cards, and they can take any one they want. And the rule is in communication that you can talk about your overall strategy at the beginning and what cards you may want to focus on. And that could be your strategy of like, oh, let's get green out of the way, and then we'll focus on blue and then orange, whatever you decide as a group. And the reason you may want to choose one over another is as you move along, we'll see you start adding fire tiles, and those consume the island. So you need to make space for those so you don't end up having to put a fire in front of a cat that avoids it getting off the island, which will cause you to lose the scenario. Once the first player starts choosing their cards, no communication can happen. So you have to discuss those strategies up front. And this is one of the several rules in this game that avoid quarterbacking, which I think is great. We discuss the overall strategies, but each specific individual decision is yours on your turn. And then on your turn, you'll have your 3 cards if you keep them in your hand, and you can do one of 2 things. You can place a tile, so in this case we could place this, but when you place a tile, you have to then draw from this bag. You'll see, or maybe you can't see because of the light, fire tiles are in here. So you have to draw a fire tile at random, pull it out of the bag, and now you have to place this someplace. So you'll see why, as I was saying, you want to kind of get cats moving along so you have these spaces behind them where you can start adding them. So right now we would maybe want to put up here where it's maybe not going to block the paths of these guys, or you could put it over here because we don't have any cats coming down this direction. But you have to be careful because you need to leave space for a card to be added. Otherwise, if you have like this and you need to get a cat here, you can't actually place a tile there because you can't place over fire. So you would place your card and you would place a fire tile, and then that would be your turn. Now the other thing you can do on your turn is you can discard a card. Say we think this one isn't useful, it has purple on it, we don't have a purple cat. So you discard it. Let's do this there for now. And then now you can move any cat along its path to any position in the color. So you can move them as far as possible, and then that will be your turn. Now there is a trade-off here because this is considered your disaster pile. Once you have 4 cards that you've discarded to make cats move, then this goes into the full discard pile, and you have to place an extra fire tile right when that happens. So moving cats too much can also add additional fire. Now once a cat has moved, it lays on its side because it's considered exhausted. Now, if you want to move that cat, instead of discarding 1 tile, you have to discard 2 of the pathway cards. So that can get you to those extra flames even faster. But maybe it's a strategic decision and it's the best thing to do. It's up to you. There is no turn order, which is kind of interesting in this game. They can talk as a group who is going to go next, but it could be that Joe goes 3 times in a row because he has the best cards because you guys decided that the green cat's going to move, or it could be Joe and then Sally and then whatever until everyone has played all of their cards. Now, an additional rule about communication is that as you are choosing which pathway card to play, or where to move the cat, or where to place the fire tile, no communication can happen once someone's turn has started. Now the exception to this exists in these tokens, which are not used in the tutorial scenario, but because it's one of the main mechanics of the game, thought I'd bring it up at the beginning. These are distributed out based on player count, based on what's in the rule book. We won't walk through that specifically. And this is a meow token. and then this is a talk token. So during someone's turn when they're placing a pathway card or a fire tile, until that fire tile or pathway card is placed, if the player who has one of these discards it, it's one use per game, they can actually talk to that person. This is the meow token. The person who plays this, also one use per game, can only meow. That is right. That is absurd and ridiculous, and I love it. They can meow however they want, aggressively, meanly to say don't place there, but they can only meow. So that's pretty funny. So we won't be using these because we're doing a solo scenario, but if you're doing multiplayer and you're past, I think it's the second tutorial scenario, then you'll use those ongoing. So we're not going to be using these, so we're going to pull those out for now. Now, these guys are the water tokens. So there's 3 of them. You can use one of these, also one use like the other tokens. And if I play that, I can actually remove a fire tile and put it back in the bag. It doesn't go away completely, but it goes away for now. And so you can do that up to 3 times per game. Now, technically in the scenario, each scenario is worth 5 points if you succeed, but every time that you use a water token, your score goes down by 1. So if you use 1 water token, then your score would be 4, 2 would be 3, etc. So that's how those work. Those are also not used in the tutorial scenario, so we're going to pull those out for now as well. And then once everyone has played their cards and have no cards left in their hands, then it's considered the rest phase. And what happens in the rest phase is that all exhausted cats stand back up, and then everyone draws a new set of 3 cards. So that's how that works. And then you carry forward and you keep going till everyone's played their cards and you have another rest round, and that's how things proceed. Success exists when you have gotten all of the cats to the raft. Failure occurs when you can no longer place a fire tile that you draw out of the bag. If there's not a position that works on the board, then you have lost the scenario. And then also if it's physically impossible for a cat to escape. If the cat is there and you have to place a fire tile in front of it because that's the only place it could go, and you don't have water tokens to spin, then you have also lost that scenario. As we get started here, we're going to talk about how the solo rules work. The solo rules kind of try to replicate a 2-player game. So I will draw 3 cards as in the multiplayer game, but you actually draw 3 extra cards without looking at the first 3 cards that you draw into your hand, and those kind of go to the side. And as you play your cards, you draw from those 3 extra cards, any one that you want, into your hand, and you keep going until there are no cards left here, and then you play until all 6 of your cards have gone. So the rest cycle is similar to when all of those cards are gone, so the rest cycle is 6 cards. So with that out of the way, we're going to formulate a strategy to get going here. So I think because these cats, the green and blue, are close together, we maybe want to get those out of the way so that we can get the orange one down and have space back here for fire. We have a little space over here, a little space over here, but we need to start getting cats out of the way so that as we draw more fire tiles, we have room to place them. I'm going to choose that we focus on blue, but actually, if we look at this stack, blue and green are evenly distributed. So if we want to focus on those first and get those out of the way, we'll draw 3 of these into our hand. Can't look at those yet, and we have to draw 3 more for the extra cards. We're actually going to dig into that strategy wholeheartedly, and we'll do our 3 extra cards to fill in as we play our hand right there. So now we can look at our hand. So let's see here. We are focusing on blue and green, so we have a couple of options there. It looks like we could get the green guy pretty far using these, so some good options there. I think first off, we're going to do that. We'll going to add a path for the green cat there. And because we placed a pathway card, we have to draw random fire tile and we have to place it. So we want to try to minimize blocking spaces and not using them. You want to be efficient in how you place them, to leave options to place other tiles. That allows something to be added there or there. So that's where we're going to put the first one. So I'm down to 2 cards. I can now draw one of these extras. We chose all the same, so it doesn't matter which one we choose. So we got this one, a bunch of green there, a little blue. I think for our next move, we're going to continue trying to get that green one along the way. So looks like you could actually do this, and that creates a path like that. So we might be able to get that green one to the raft in the first round. We'll see how it goes. But in the meantime, we placed another pathway card, so we have to draw another fire tile. This one's a little smaller, which is handy, and we can actually put that one right there next to the one we already placed. So we're down to 2. We get to draw up to 3 again. Okay. So it has a smidge of blue, a smidge of green. Let's see. We're going to focus on green. Let's look at these 2. If I put that there, then it gets us even closer there. And then I would just need one to finish it off. Actually, I'm going to do that. And then draw a fire tile. We have to place this. I don't want to get into this area because we may want to get a cat down there, so I'm going to go here. We're going to maybe try to move the green cat here shortly, and then we'll have this kind of space over here as well to work with the fire tiles. So I'm down to 2 again. I draw my last extra card. Okay. And this one gives us an option to get the green one all the way there. So we're going to do that to complete the green path. And because we placed a pathway card, we have to draw another fire tile. Okay. This one, that's maybe dangerous. That would block and leave an extra space there, which is kind of a wasted space. So I don't want to go that far down because I'll block myself from placing another card there. I think I'm actually going to do this because I should be able to get that one through there. It's a little bit of a risk, but I think we'll get a card that we can use later. All right, with that placed, I have 2 cards left, but no extra cards. So I have 2 cards left in this turn. And we're focusing on blue and green. We already have the green path, so we don't even care about that anymore. We could use this one there, and this corner one doesn't get us all the way across. So I think we're going to discard this one over on our disaster discard there, and we will move the green one all the way from its starting position to here, which under the A raft rules automatically moves the cat onto the raft. So we have saved our first cat, which is awesome. Now that's the end of that turn. So we just have this one tile left, and I think we're I'm going to try to plan ahead a little bit here. If we play, so I'll have to place a tile there. I think what I'm going to do, now that we got the green one there, is I'm going to do this. So that if we can get him down there, then he already has a leg up to getting over to the raft. Yeah, I think that's what we're gonna do. So pathway card played, we draw our next fire tile, and now we have all this space that we can use because we already have the green cat to safety. I'm going to do this here because that's not going to limit any options in terms of I've already made the choice of putting this there and blocking that a little bit. So that, since I have played all of my cards and I have no extras left, it moves into rest phase. There are no exhausted cats because the green one made it all the way to the raft, and so we just move straight into drawing the 6 cards, the 3 from my hand, and then the 3 extra cards for the solo mode. Play rules. So now we only have orange and blue. So this is interesting, and this is where the decision making comes in because there's not a 30% orange and 30% blue one. So, but this blue one has a greater chance of yellow. So this is the best chance I have if I'm choosing blue next, which I was going to maybe focus on blue next, whereas this one has a smaller chance of yellow. So strategically, if I'm going to focus on blue, this is my best option. I'm going to go ahead and go in on blue. I'm going to do those 3. For my extra hand, I'm going to do 1 more of those, and I'm going to hope I can get some good headway with those other 3 cards I already drew from there. Then I'm going to choose one of the stacks that has yellow. This yellow one, 30%, has the most blue versus this one, so I'm going to draw 2 of these as my extra cards there. I can now look at my starting hand, and lots of good blue on this one, and then this card, which is totally useless, so we're going to use that to discard eventually to move. So let's just look at these 2. So we can move the blue one pretty far. So I think for our first one, I'm going to do a pretty straightforward move of that to keep the blue path going. And we of course draw a fire tile. And that could fit there nicely, but it might limit how I can place. So I think I'm going to do something like that. Kind of out of the way still. I still have some room there. Okay, and then next we're going to use the other blue card that we have, since this one is pretty useless for us at the moment. And we're going to get, actually, it's that. It kind of opens up my options over here. Come to think of it, actually do a little planning ahead, because if I can get a blue strip across, one thing you have to keep in mind is you cannot put the pathway cards underneath each other. So sometimes you have to think about, if I put that there, but then I have to overlap, it's actually not going to work. And so that's something as you play the game more, you get used to, and it becomes more natural. But you're still going to mess that up sometimes and think you have a plan, and then because the cards have to be stacked on top of each other, you don't have a plan. All right, so I forgot to draw up my extra card for my first one. I was just so excited that I had this good blue options. This is not good blue options. This one is some blue options. Now, this is kind of what I was talking about, because I was hoping for one that maybe had a strip all the way across. But if you look at this, if I place this here, I actually can't get him across. Now I do have that blue up there, so maybe I could layer something there. Also, And given that my other cards, I drew no yellow so far, or since these are pretty useless at this time, I am going to go ahead and do that there, because if I can get any blue there, then I can get the blue cat all the way across. So we then draw a fire tile, and because we just placed pathway card, things are getting a little crowded. If I do that, it kind of blocks me placing a card there if I have a straight path down. Now we've already established most of the blue path, so this area is kind of an option. I think I'm going to try that so I don't block this line of potential cards. All right, I'm down to 2 cards, so I get to draw one more. There is the blue that we needed. So this one we can just throw right on top here and be able to get all the way across. So because I placed a pathway card, I draw a fire tile. And let's see where we can put this guy. Doesn't quite fit there. Could do actually something like this. We still have a blue path underneath here. And so I think that's going to work great. And then we have these useless cards. So I'm going to discard one of those to have the blue move all the way here. And then automatically, because the blue cat is adjacent to the raft, the cat is moved to the raft and into safety. Now we're in an interesting position because we have this card that we can't use. We could discard it to move the yellow cat, but that really does nothing for us. So unfortunately, we're going to have to play this and then place a fire tile for no reason. So this doesn't even really matter where we go. We're just going to throw it there. And then because we placed a pathway card, we draw the fire tile. And very similar but opposite of that one we just placed. Okay, that can't hang off the board. I think we're gonna do this. I want to keep our options open over there. So unfortunately we do leave that open, which is an inefficiency, but nobody's perfect, so we'll work with what we can. So definitely a tactical game. You have to deal with what you're handed in terms of the cards, in terms of the fire tile, and I really like that. Makes each playthrough just a little bit different. All right, we've played all of our cards now, so we are in the rest phase. No cats to rest, so we draw up. Now we only care about orange now, so we only want to get the yellow, so it doesn't really matter. We haven't drawn from the stack yet, I don't think, so let's just do all from here. 3 to my hand, 3 to the extra set of cards, and let's take a look. Oh good, lots of yellow options. That's what we want to see. So this card is kind of perfect. I can place that there, and because we placed a pathway card, fire tile. All right, so this one, I'm going to do something like this down here out of the way. Because we're down to 2 cards, we draw the one extra, which is great. A lot of yellow. We're very lucky on the yellow there. So get yellow just a little further down with that placement. Build out that path. Fire tile. In exchange. going to do that. We can hopefully get the yellow one in at the top over here. And so we can use this over here, hopefully. Down to 2 cards, so I have this one. Now, let's see here. Trying to think. This is what we can do to finish off the path. So I'm going to save that one. Sometimes it's helpful just to have it down there and kind of turn it so you can get an idea of the options. So this one we can actually put here to build the path like that. So we place the pathway card, draw the fire tile, and it's getting a little crowded, but this one can actually fit right there. Left one space open, but I think we're almost to the win here. And so this one, I can figure out what I just did a few minutes ago. Yes. So this we can just place, no wait, that is not what we did. There we go. Right there. And the last pathway card, the last fire tile. It doesn't really matter where we go at this point, so we're just gonna go here. And then we draw our last extra card, and it doesn't matter which one we discard that, and we move the orange cat all the way here and automatically moves to the raft, and we've saved all the cats. So you kind of see how the fire tiles build out over time. I really like that mechanism. I like how the cards overlay. It seems like it could be a big mess, but however they've worked the cards and the components, it just kind of works, and everything is really easy to line up. And when you visually look at it, you see those paths. There's not any breaking in terms of how you visually are evaluating those options, which is great. So yeah, we succeeded. Congratulations to us. Thanks for joining me for this playthrough, and I'm going to play some more of this game. I'm going to take it to a game group this weekend to get some multiplayer action going. And I'm also going to do a playthrough of one of the more difficult scenarios, just so you can see that in action as well. Thank you for joining us, and yeah, just remember, the only rule is that there are no rules except in board games.